you are actual scum filth, and you don't deserve anybody helping you with anyway.
It's funny because a lot of these issues, you're actually more red pill than I am. I mean, these two are married. Like, how insane is that?
Something else is going on here. It's
Dude,
something else is going on here. And absolutely, I bet my life on it. I know something else is going on here.
What do you think is going on?
Really good example of this. This is going to be a really mean example. I don't mean to do it this way. I love and cherish all of mankind. But do you know who Mia Malkova is?
Andrew Tate.
He's a Redpill guy. I think he's a former kickboxer, and I think now he's more of like when the guru, multi-millionaire, lives out in Romania.
It's a hypothetical, so let me change it. You and your woman are asleep in bed upstairs. You hear someone break into the house downstairs. Who goes downstairs?
Nobody. Tripping. XQ, you tripping. Hold on. XQ, so you're not going down there?
Nobody's going down there.
So what if they come upstairs?
Bro, you gotta protect.
Bro, I'll keep it a buck 50
Protect?
real quick. I'll keep it a buck 50.
No. My job is to survive, not protect.
Beta!
My job is to survive. And sometimes that means to go down there, the guy's a gun. It doesn't matter.
Beta!
That sounds crazy, doesn't it?
That sounds crazy.
Right?
Because you're not acknowledging, though, okay, you know what?
Go for it.
Maybe you are not gonna go outside. You're not gonna go downstairs. Maybe you are not. Okay, I'll take it. Beta! I'll take it. But for real, I'll take it. Maybe you're not gonna go out downstairs. But he's asking a general question, and I have the feeling that you sensed where you was going, so you went on the defensive mode. You said, nobody's going downstairs. My job is okay. Let's stick to a general question. In general, who is going downstairs? Nobody should. That's not what the question was. In general, who is going downstairs?
What if your girl's an MMA fighter?
Who is going downstairs? What if she's
RoboCop?
My girl is a whole fucking black belt in Taekwondo.
Go tell her.
I'm going downstairs.
We all know.
She's a whole black belt.
Right, so
technically better than me. Can lift her foot that high. I'm going downstairs.
Okay. So we all...
Well, okay. Fuck. I agree that xQc did not do a good job at engaging with that hypothetical. I think I agreed. I think I told him as much. But now this seems like... Now it seems like they're going in literally the total opposite direction of a hypothetical. Where it's like, I'm so masculine, even if my girlfriend was better qualified than me, I'm going downstairs. It's like, well, now, hold on. Well, now this sounds like we've gone too far in the other direction. Like, I don't know about this one now. If my girlfriend was like a black belt, whatever the fuck or whatever, regardless of my instinct to do whatever, fuck, she might be going down first. I mean, it depends on what's going on. What was xQc's original position? I think xQc was looking at it from like a strategic point of view, which is true. Like, I think I probably have an instinct to predict. I know I do for Nathan. I probably would for like Melina or like a significant other. But that doesn't mean that like if I hear trouble, it's like I'm gonna run headfirst into it. That doesn't sound masculine or feminine. That just sounds retarded. Like that sounds like a bad battle plan, bad strategy. But I don't know. Oh, Nami alted Japan. Why did you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that to trigger the fuck out of me, okay? Bran could see the future. Why wouldn't he tell Theon, wait literally 10 seconds and you don't have to die for literally no reason? Why wouldn't Bran say that? Why wouldn't Bran just tell him, Theon, it's okay. You don't have to go and die for literally no reason right now. You could actually just wait 2 seconds. And I know that because I can see the future. Why would he just watch Bran run forward and or watch Theon run forward and die? There's no quicker way to cook these blocks, right? Because you can't do it in a blast furnace. what XQC should have answered is, I'm not going downstairs. My wife's not going downstairs. My wife's boyfriend is going downstairs. That's what he lives with us for.
What would you do if I was going on girls' holidays every other month?
I'd have to shut that down. I think it's disrespectful.
Do you go on a lot of holidays?
I can do whatever I want. You're with me, you don't want to. We go on holidays together, we go places together. When I have to go places with just the boys, you stay home.
It could just be like women just go on holiday to have fun.
And men will try and sleep with you.
So does that mean the women are?
Correct.
This is what I'm saying. You
agreed.
No,
agreed.
No, but you have to warp to reality.
It's not warped reality, because we agree.
Yes, you do. Okay.
We agree.
Okay.
No, you're not moving on to the next question. No, we agree.
Okay.
We agree. You're right. They're going to try, and you're not going to let them. I agree. If I walk out to the car park, it doesn't matter how good the locks are on my car. If someone's trying to break into my car, am I going to let them keep trying? No. It's disrespectful. It's mine, and no one comes near it because it's...
The car analogy doesn't work here, though, because now we're not talking about the club. Now we're just talking about going on holiday. Now the car analogy is a little bit more revealing of how you view the woman, right? Like, she's literally property. I don't give a fuck where she goes or what she wants to do. Like, she's not allowed to do that because I don't want other people messing with her or whatever, right? Now it doesn't work as well, I don't think.
Mine. No one's going to try and steal it. For me I'll put it in a place where people are going to try and steal it is nothing less than irresponsible. My female is taken care of and has a fantastic life. She does not need to go on holidays to fucking Mykonos and be a hoe on some random table. Some random table because her friend met some dude on fucking Tinder. No, stay home. Stay home.
He also sounds a bit more insecure here too than he did with XQC, but maybe it's a more combative environment.
Know this.
Stop.
Right? So when a red pill guy says you have an imperative to defend your woman, it's like, yes, we all know this intrinsically.
Yes.
Okay? And so I had a conversation with X briefly, and it was cool. And I asked him the question a bit differently. I want you guys to hear it. Hypothetical, there's a gun pointed at the both of you. All right? Do you feel like it's your responsibility to get in front of your girl before the gun goes off?
No.
No?
I mean, go ahead.
Okay. What if it's your child?
No, you gotta answer. Oh no.
I mean, see, these hypotheticals, we're not gonna like going anywhere with that. I just say these hypotheticals are very, very bad.
But you understand the principle. I'm not talking about the technical aspect. You understand the principle of it. It's like.
By principle, yes. By technicality, I feel like if there could be choices to make that are better, you could make a better
Look at that high quality Minecraft gameplay in the background.
What type of gun it is.
Oh my God! What type of gun it is? Oh my
Hold on. Chill. Give him a chance to explain. I know it sounds crazy.
I'll shut up.
We'll give him a shot.
I think this is a question about like just the principle of it, right?
This is just the principle. If I went to anybody,
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. God bless you. That was the only word I had. I thought we'd gotten so far off the deep end that we wouldn't say yes to that. Because I think
if you stick in as well, like
I just want you to understand like how it comes across to everyone in the world when they hear you even hesitate. Because if you ask most men on the street, vast majority of people, and you said, listen, there's a gun pointed at you and your girl, they would all jump and immediately say yes. Especially if it was their kids, they wouldn't even think about it. So when they even hear you hesitate, all of a sudden they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, even if they themselves wouldn't do it, they'd still answer yes to it, of course, right?
Oh yeah, because they want a black and white answer, but no.
And but the thing that happens is that answer is the answer of someone that's never been in a situation that was like dangerous, and that's fine because most of the people in the world hasn't been in that situation, right? Which is fine. When shit like that happen, you do not have to. It's not even you. It's not even your brain talking. It's not your brain being like, okay, that's the type of gun. This person is like that. If I take his weight, that's not even that. That's movies. That's the Equalizer starring Denzel Washington. That's counting down. But that's not real life. Even when you're in a fight or flight situation and there's a guy attacking you, you could take the classes. Martial art classes that you think and that you have and whatnot. The first error that someone that takes martial arts class is thinking that they know how to fight. When that situation happens, it's fucked. You don't rely on your knowledge. You rely on what you repeated, and you have to train your body to act that way without you even thinking, okay? That's the thing right there. No, my dude. You don't think. You don't have the time to think. You don't have the time to...
Okay, I don't know who preaches tongue to here, but like, I will say this, okay? Like, there is an expected answer of like, you know, would you take a bullet for your girlfriend? Would you do this, blah, 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 blah. There is that expected answer, but, and maybe we'd agree on this, if you haven't been in that situation, your answer is bullshit. It doesn't really mean anything, right? Now, you should give the answer that's expected, especially if you're a content creator, because that's what people are looking to you to answer. But like, tell me like, oh, I take a bullet. You don't know you take a bullet. You have no fucking idea what you would do in that situation. You might actually just freeze up and sit there, right? You have no idea how you would react in that situation. It's incredibly rare that somebody is going to be like of coherent mind to do like all sorts of shit or whatever. Like, you know, you have no idea until you're actually there.
Assess stuff. That's not the real world, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. But like you said in that clip, it really makes... You're crazy, dude.
Okay, listen, on the woman thing, I could semi-understand. If someone brings up your child, I don't think, look, maybe I'm crazy. I've got nieces and nephews that I love. Anybody, it wouldn't even be a hesitation, at least my instinct. Some people are going to say, yeah, I would defend my girl, and maybe they wouldn't do it in the moment. But most people
You'd say
have
yes.
that instinct or want to have that instinct. And so when you say, like, I don't know, maybe I won't, it sounds crazy to people. Right? And this emboldens a lot of folks to follow a lot of these red pill dudes because their paradigm sounds far more appealing and much more natural than what you're explaining. Go to any man and say, well, maybe you don't go to defend your child. Think about it. They'd be like, what the fuck? It's my kid. Of course I'm going to die for my kid. Are you crazy? So when they hear you say anything otherwise, they throw everything that you have to say out the window and be like, I'm going to talk to these red pill dudes because they sound way more reasonable. And a lot of folks go through this pattern where they're having these conversations with these people and then start to embolden them and make them sound more appealing because at the end of the day, they do sound more sensible. They do.
Even a woman with her child.
Of course.
And there's a dude, she will jump in front to save the child.
Yes.
If the dude don't react enough. If it's just her and the dude, she's probably gonna look at the dude. But if it's her child, that's crazy, dude.
Let me ask all the women who are watching right now, leave a comment below. Ladies, if you found that your man wouldn't hesitate to save your... How fast is your pussy gonna dry up? How quickly are you turning into the Sahara Desert?
Sahara Desert's gonna full fucking move.
That probably is true, okay? And I don't know how often this happens in the real world, right? Because I only have internet videos to go off of. But I will say that the flip side of that is that if you're a woman and you are starting fights expecting your man to like step in and solve them for you, you are actual scum filth, and you don't deserve anybody helping you with shit anyway. So I will say that definitely swings both ways, depending on how you're looking at it.
That pum pum.
Let's go.
Dusty.
Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
Bro.
Is it 40 Thieves?
Yeah.
Listen, they all dry. Nobody cares.
Sandland.
Like your pussy.
Boom, boom.
Okay, let's be honest. We know what it is.
A whole biscuit in the panties, yeah.
It could, when you have feminists and red pill guys agreeing on this concept, because I promise you, every feminist below would be like, I would expect my partner to save our child. When you got them both agreeing, you have to understand how your stance sounds ridiculous. So you cannot be so against a lot of this stuff that you start to sound that way. But then now, to be fair to him, he did roll it back. He's like, yeah, okay, if I would want to defend mine. But it's the hesitation or even the weirdness with it that sounds odd to
people. But you just saying that, I can't have a conversation with you.
What you mean?
Because the conversation's going to be dishonest.
Why?
You're not even going to, I'm going to ask you, that's dishonesty. You're dishonest. You know damn well you're going to try to protect, or you really are crazy. But if I look at you and if you talk like that, I'm gonna be like, I can't talk with you.
Yeah.
That's your answer to that question?
Or maybe you guys are just operating on such different paradigms. Like it's like, yeah, it's like you.
We're not even.
It's like you're justifying your stuff based off science. The other person's like, well, God told me. It's like
I can't talk with you. Not necessarily because you're nonsensical.
Did you copy that from me? Excuse me.
We don't even have.
Do I get credited in this video?
It's something that I've noticed a lot when I would see the interviews that some people would do, either be it with Fresh and Fit or this guy or some people. It's like you have to give ground on some stuff because the ground that they're standing on makes sense. You know, when they talk about the fact that women do generally desire men who make their income or above, can't just say everything they say. That's a fact.
No, not me.
And that's something that we've been saying before we ever knew any of these guys. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Right? Yes, women like men who are bigger, stronger, taller than them. That's a fact. There's exceptions to the rule, but they generally like that. So when guys are telling you, go lift, go take care of your fitness, it makes sense. You can't just throw everything. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
It applies here.
There's some shit.
Right? And if you can find that middle ground, you can find the stuff that's in that.
I can't fucking. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that family has a GoFundMe for the shooter. Is there? Let's re-roll all of that on the stream. It might be the case, okay? Maybe there were extenuating circumstances that we'll find out in the coming days. Maybe that's like another Jacob Blake situation where the actual story is way different. Like maybe that mom and her kids were somehow antagonizing the fuck out of the adopted Ethiopian kid to the white family or something. Maybe something different was happening there that we haven't seen yet, if we're fair. Maybe.
Because let me be honest with you, when I was learning, and it wasn't called Red Pill back then, but when it was just like pickup artist stuff, when you were learning how to approach women or how to talk to women, all this stuff, there was a lot of stuff in there in terms of building self-confidence, in terms of getting better in a lot of aspects of your life. That is extremely useful. So, I'm watching all these conversations unfold. Of course, this guy's going to win out in most of these debates or seem more interesting.
Fuck, I want to talk to this.
It's like the alternatives.
I need to go on the Fresh and Fit first. That's like my Andrew Tate warm-up.
You're talking about dudes who are either out of shape, don't live desirable lives, don't have all the stuff that that the general populace would want in an ideal life. It's like, here's an example. It's like a 5'1" out of shape dude trying to give you fitness advice. Even though he may have all the science, even though he may have all the facts, they're gonna go listen to a big dude who's in better shape because he seems to be living whatever it is that he's talking about.
Because the thing might work. Whenever they drop in your DM and like, do you want to increase your followers? And you look at their followers and they got 2. I'm like, bitch, go increase yours.
Yeah.
Go increase your followers. Yeah. And then talk to me about my fucking followers.
It sounds really mean, and I don't mean to say that. I don't mean to be mean. But like, whenever I see people that do that shit where they're like, oh, like, we have like all the secrets on how to be a big Twitch streamer. It's like, really? You have 12 viewers. Like, prove it. Show me. What secrets do you have? What do you mean? Like, you guys ever see like those coaches? I don't know if they still exist, but the people that like offer to coach people and like becoming like a big streamer and shit. And it's like, bro, you're like, but you're not. Like, what? I don't know.
Right? I'm sitting here with 20,000. You got 5. And that's a scam.
And so there's no alternative to these dudes. They gonna win. They will win in a lot of these discussions.
It looks like.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Now, for whatever my problems are with Devin, a lot of people in chat are saying Devin. So Devin quit his job at CLG, and Devin was like, I'm going to become a full-time streamer / YouTuber person. He made that decision, and he actually did it. So I don't think you can actually shit on Devin for that. For whatever you want to attack him for, you can't shit on him for that. He had over, I think he had 4-figure viewers. He had over 1,000 concurrent viewers. He was on Train's show. He did everything. Like, for whatever you want to shit on Devin for, you can shit on him. But like that, I don't think you can shit on him for that. I think he did it. Like, yeah, Devin is not the guy that you make fun of there. I'm talking about all like the random like coaches on YouTube or whatever that have, or not YouTube. They'd have like Twitter and shit, and they talk about like how to grow your stream, and they would just be like literal nobodies. They'd have like, I was gonna say 400 viewers, but that's not true. They'd have like 7.
A scam. Mm-hmm. If you don't live the life, you look like you live in the life. I'm gonna be like, why you out there teaching me, and you're not using it. It makes sense.
Yep. So just understand that, and guys, get ready. This whole Red Pill stuff is gonna invade your TikTok. It has already to some degree. It's gonna be all over YouTube. It's gonna be talking points on news. I see that's where it's going in the future.
I already had started absolutely.
I think there's gonna be a lot of pushback against it, but undoubtedly, all the mainstream people are picking up on it because it gets views, it gets clicks. So just get ready for that. And then, if you're going to argue against something or hate it, know what you hate. Because a lot of you have no idea what the fuck this shit is. You have no idea what it represents or what it does for men or how it helps them or why it's even needed. You don't know. You don't care to know. You just heard some shit you didn't like and it sounded funny based off your ideology. So you're like, fuck them. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. Because I see dudes are really gravitating toward this stuff and it's inevitable. And I'm not even mad at them. People think that. People are like, yo, Abba, why don't you try to pull more of these red pill? Because I'm not giving them an alternative. Do you think I'm going to run a coaching program? Do you think I'm going to spend time talking to all these young men who are lost and need some mental
Oh, break time. I need 2,000 likes on YouTube chat. I still don't think it does anything, but my chat gets mad when you guys don't like it. Everybody like in YouTube chat. Go. Start liking. You guys aren't liking enough. push the like button. Chills. Okay.
And I'm going to spend time trying to guide them. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. So I'm not going to tell them not to go follow any of these dudes. If you want to and it helps you, hey, man, go do you. Go do. I'm going to just say, hey, man, there might be some stuff that's off about it. But otherwise, go do whatever you want to do. Because there's nothing else out there. How you going to get resources on how to approach ladies? Who going to teach you? Anything else you want to say?
No.
Protecting your kids a basic. That's a basic.
You sound crazy.
That's a basic.
You sound fucking crazy right.
Big child. I feel like we really need a way to societally address what seems like a big lack of self-confidence in men. To be honest, women probably too. But like with men, it leads to these weird cringe, essentializing movements that could be pretty bad if they get big enough. I feel like the
We love them. I have nothing against women. I believe women are the most precious things on the planet. They create life. They should be protected. They should be provided for. I would never let a woman pay for a bill. I would never let a woman, if someone touched any of my women, I would stand up against 10 men by myself and risk my life to protect her. I believe that women are beautiful creatures. I just don't think that they're as emotionally calm as men in stressful situations. I don't think they can fight like a man can. And for the same reason, I would never drop my children in an all-male nursery. I think that's strange and weird. I would only drop them in an all-female nursery. Women do certain things and men do certain things. And we live in a world now where the whole idea of the roles has been conflated to the fact where if I come along and say women are better with children and men are better at fighting, that I'm somehow fucking sexist when it's clearly true. There's nothing wrong with stating the facts. It's the truth. I not really love them. I have nothing.
The fucking music, Jesus. I think everybody probably needs, not me, because I'm better than you, but I think most people, you guys, I think you all need to feel empowered or to have people telling you that you're doing a good job a lot. I think that's a really important thing for most people. And then I've talked about this a ton, but it seems like the issue is that for a long time, like women especially, we did a good job at like gassing women up like a motherfucker to make them all feel good about their lives and who they are and women's power and all that blah, blah, blah. But we kind of stopped doing it for men. And then, yeah, here we are, basically. Did I tell you? I don't remember if I read an article on this, or I think I might have had a teacher email me, but they talked about how like administration can see like the huge difference in incoming like women versus men in schools. But the idea of even having that conversation of like, maybe we need affirmative action again for men now going to school because the rates are so unbelievably off. Like from what I've heard, people are scared to even pretend to be ready to have that conversation. That's not anything you would never actually bring that up because it'd be so scary. So yeah, I don't know. Feels bad, man.
All right, we are live. What's up, guys? We got Destiny joining us for a part 2 debate. We're going to go through some other things that I potentially disagree with Destiny about. I'm assuming you're already live on your end, right?
Yeah, always.
Cool. All right, awesome. So, yeah, this debate came from your stream with ABBA. I was watching that, and it was good because I've been watching actually a good amount of your content after our first debate.
Uh-oh.
And I largely wound up agreeing with you on a lot of shit, so there was really not much I could debate with you about except like really small, minute details. But during that stream, there came a few things that I think we have substantial disagreements on. All right. All right. Should I kick it off with the first one?
Yeah, go for it.
You know what stream I'm talking about, right? The one where you debated ABBA?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I usually say the same shit most of the time. So.
All right, cool. All right, I wrote down some quotes. So okay, he fucking hears sex was routine. Okay, so one of the things was you were saying is if the mental aspect of sex is not as stimulating. Wait, if the mental aspect. Wait, hold up, for you guys just said. The mental. I think I got the quote wrong. Okay, I think you were saying something like if just the act of having sex is stimulating enough for you, irregardless of like, whether the sex is good or not, that's just sad. Is there something like that ring a bell?
Yeah, I feel like that argument is like I feel like people have a really weird engagement with sex where they're just really happy to have it and like that's it. And I feel like that's kind of a sad way to engage with sex, but apparently a lot of people in my fan base disagreed, so I don't know. And Abba disagreed, so yeah.
Well, I think like what I was confused by that is I think you're missing the point that sex is largely mental, right? So for example, we can get even better quality sex from a sex doll. Now they have sex dolls. This one black pill guy was trying to explain to me with like spinning vaginas. He was like trying to give me 20 reasons why it's better than a regular girl, right? For like 99% of men, fucking a sex doll would be way less satisfying because of the mental aspect. It's not the physical aspect, it's the mental aspect. It's like having sex with an attractive girl. So even if the sex with a girl is like average, that you find attractive, it's still going to be really good because of the aspect of novelty and because you're turned on by the girl. Whereas like jerking off or fucking a sex doll is just not going to be nearly as satisfying, even if the sex doll has like a 30 RPM spinning vagina.
I think that it can be the case that there are certain mental aspects of sex that can make it better. Like obviously, like things like having sex in public or like other things like that, or like fetishes or kinks or whatever. There can be like mental things, role playing or whatever, that make it more exciting. That can definitely be a thing, sure. But I don't think that that's like the most important thing, or that's rather the only thing. And and that's not the type of mental game that I was necessarily talking about. I think my issue was that it felt like when a lot of people were talking about sex, it feels like the conversation topic has more to do with people like just having sex, and that in and of itself is what made it really cool, the fact they were just having sex. And then it becomes this weird like competition where people are just like fucking for the sake of fucking, and they don't care about anything else besides the fact that they just happen to be getting sex, which I thought was kind of a sad way to engage with sex. But yeah.
So you're talking about the validation aspect of it.
Yeah, that people are looking at it as a way to like validate themselves, basically. Yeah.
Okay. But would you acknowledge that you can, for example, have sex with a new girl who maybe the sex isn't that good, but it's a really satisfying experience for you, not because you're getting validation, because you're having sex with a hot girl, right? You're legitimately excited for it, even if you don't tell any of your friends.
Yeah, I mean, like there can be like a novelty aspect for sure. Although I mean, it feels like that would wear off. Like I would say that has worn off after a while. Like sometimes it can be really exciting just because you're having sex with a new person. But like, I think at some point it's going to be like, okay, like it's another new person. But if the sex isn't either emotionally fulfilling or if it's either not emotionally fulfilling or like the experience isn't actually good aside from just fucking a hot person, I feel like at some point it's got to be like whatever. But that, I mean, I don't know, that would be my experience.
Do you think sex is more mental or physical for men? For women, we know it's more mental. But what about men? What's your?
It's really hard to draw that distinction. Is it more like mental or physical? Because like it like all of it is like very mental and physical, right? Mm-hmm. So, like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. There's overlap. Like if her vagina has like I don't know, was like it's like too shallow or too deep. You know, the mental aspect is gonna be hard to follow if your dick is like falling out or something like that. But I do think that like sex, at least for most people, from what I've seen, is largely mental, right? It's like the mental stipulation. It's not the actual act of like having a vagina, having a penis inside a vagina. Like there's sex toys that can mimic that pretty well, but it's just the mental aspect of like, fuck yeah, I'm having sex with a girl. Like this girl turns me on so much, blah blah blah, right? Or is it not like that for you?
Not at this point, no. Like I think I need like. I mean, like having sex with somebody that you love or having sex with somebody you like, or even the novelty of having sex with a certain person can definitely be cool. But I mean, at some point, like would you agree that there is like a physical like adeptness that is like cool with sex? Like that there can be somebody who's, it just feels like sometimes when I listen to people talk about sex that aspect is basically completely non-existent, which I thought was kind of strange.
Let me pose the question like this. If you have a choice, one, you can have sex with a girl that you find really, really attractive, but the sex is mediocre, or two, you have to have sex with a girl that you don't find attractive, but she's like a pro in bed, like the sex is excellent. Which one of those would you think you would gravitate towards?
The second. At this point in my life, the second one, easily.
Really?
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
I feel like at this point, like I've had sex with too many like super hot girls that are just so lazy in bed that it's like I really would rather just masturbate. But I'm speaking from a super privileged position at that point. I understand. But yeah, I don't know. Having sex with like really hot girls that just suck at everything is just disappointing to me.
That's interesting that you picked the second one. Okay, I mean, I guess there's an element of personal preference there, so I don't know how much I can even like debate you about that.
Sure.
I think for like me and majority of guys that I know, they would definitely pick option number one rather than like because like, yeah, while that girl who's less attractive may be better in bed, it's just like you're not going to get turned on. It's just going to be like, whatever, right?
I mean, like, I probably couldn't have sex with like not to sound mean, but like with like a wildebeest or something, right? Like if it's a girl that weighs like 700 pounds or some shit, she can be like a Suckmaster 7000. It's probably not going to matter, of course. But like if I have to choose between like there are. Like, if I think of, like, the best sexual experience of my life, usually they're with, I don't want to sound mean, it's like average-looking women, but they're usually, like, like women that are, like, yeah, they're cool. But it's not somebody that you would see and think, like, oh, my God, this guy's, like, a fucking 10 or whatever. But, like, some of my best sexual experiences have been, like, I don't know, is homely a mean thing to say, but, like average-looking girls. But they're, like, really good at what they do. They're passionate. They learn cool things. And just, like, having sex with some girl that's, like, super hot, but she just, like, starfishes out, doesn't give a fuck. It's, like, I don't know, whatever. Like, I don't know. I guess it feels kind of boring to me, but then maybe that might be a mental thing that I have. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess there's an element of personal preference. I'd be curious to hear the guys in the chat. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but yeah, I'll put one in the chat if you would rather have sex with a girl that you find really attractive but is average in bed, or option 2 is you would rather have a girl who you find physically average but is really good in bed. I'm actually legitimately curious what the audience thinks about that. But yeah, we can move on to the next thing. I guess that was like the smaller of the disagreements. This is one statement you made that I definitely disagreed with. If you're an average guy, it's more important to have a 6-figure job than be 6 feet tall. Do you still think that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think men can overcome a lot of like physical deficits with other parts of their personality that people care about. Yeah, I think that's true for sure.
Yeah, I completely disagree with on that one. I mean, I just have way too many clients who have 6-figure jobs, some of them even 7-figure jobs, who are just like struggling massively. Do you think you might be confusing money for clout? Because I agree with you that if you can have like, I don't know, like 6 million followers or be 6 feet tall, having 6 million followers would be better. Because I do think clout makes a big difference. I just don't think money makes a substantial difference once you get to a point where you have your own place and you have your own car. Like, so if you're going from being like dead broke to being like middle class and now you have your own logistics, yes, that will make a difference. But going from making like 30,000 a year to making 100,000 a year, in my opinion, makes close to no difference versus going from being 5'6" to 6 feet. Not that you can really do that, but if you could, it would make a big difference.
I mean, it's going to be hard because it's going to be all anecdotal, but like I feel like there's no way. The difference between a guy, like if I were to send, assuming that these guys were both like socially competent. Now, if you're like super nerdy or geeky or like
shy, all factors being even, yeah,
if you've got problems like that, then yeah, money might not necessarily help you. But if you take two guys of like similar confidence levels, similar, like relative attractiveness, but like one dude was like 5'7", 5'6", the other dude was like 6 feet, and the 6 foot guy is making 30,000 a year, and the 5 whatever dude is making like 120,000 a year. I think that guy is gonna pull a lot harder, assuming he's like acting appropriately. I think maybe not for just getting laid. Maybe the 6 foot guy might have a little bit of an easier shot when it comes to just getting laid, but in terms of like getting into like relationships with cool people or whatever, I think for sure. I think girls will look at himbos, then they'll think like, oh yeah, that might be fun to fuck with, but like dating a guy like that, making 30K, I don't think so. But I could be wrong, and that's gonna be hard to prove, I guess, like data wise. But
yeah, I would definitely speculate on that one. You would be wrong. Okay, let me ask you this: How would the girl even? Like, let's take, we have two guys, all factors being even, same look, same same social skills. One of them makes 40,000 a year. One of them makes 120,000 a year. How would the girl even know that he makes 120,000 a year unless he explicitly asks her, which is going to come off super tacky? Like, how can she even know that information?
We signal wealth in all sorts of different ways. It might be with your zip code, it might be with the type of car you drive, going out to hang out with some dude that's showing up in I think they're fucking hideous, but every girl that I've talked to fucking loves Teslas. So if you've got one of those fucking Teslas, if you've got a nice Porsche, if you've got some cool car like that versus some dude that's driving, no ill will, but if he's driving like a fucking Corolla or a Honda Civic or some shit, right? Like immediately there are so many things. It can be the clothes you wear, the shoes you have, the watch you have, depending on communities you're in. There are tons of things that we do to signal wealth. The idea that somebody's just not going to know at all who's working what job or who's making this kind of money, I don't think that's, I think that in some ways, I think guys are kind of tested by that all the time, even if it's not like a super subconscious thing, And I'm not accusing, because I'm a very blue-pilled kind of guy, so I want to accuse women of doing this like consciously, but like there's going to be a big difference between a guy that's like, do you want to go and eat like a $500 meal at Cut in fucking Beverly Hills, or do you want to go catch like the free appetizers at Applebee's at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, right? Like people keep track of this type of stuff all the time in their head, women especially. People are going to know about the type of money you make, even if you don't explicitly tell them, I think.
You know what's ironic though. What you're advocating for is actually red pill position. Like the red pillers really believe that once you get your finances in order, the dating stuff gets better. That's funny because
I think it does for sure. For absolutely, yeah.
Right. I don't really think that. I guess I can. This is anecdotal, but I can use myself. I've been broke, and now I'm pretty well off, right? And I used to get laid more when I was broke because all I did was just bang girls. I never once had like my lack of money ever hold me back, and I've been broke as fuck. Now that I work all the time, like I have less times, but even when I have like a week off, I don't find that my money helps me in any way get girls. I have had my clout help me. Yes, that does work, but I've never had my money like let me get a girl. Not once have I ever had it happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I probably believe that. Like, this is why I would clarify that there's going to be a difference between like between being in a relationship versus just fucking somebody, right? A guy can be a total fucking loser, but if he's reasonably attractive, not saying that you were a total fucking loser, sorry, but like a guy can be like a total fucking loser and be like decently attractive, tall or whatever, and like fuck girls, like you can do that. But in terms of like getting girls into like relationships and stuff, like stuff like your financial status, I think is going to matter quite a bit.
But you got to fuck the girl in order to get a relationship first. You can't have one without the other.
No way. You can go pull for a relationship before the fucking ever happens. I mean, most people want to fuck kind of early, but you can't. As a girl, you might be able to fuck your way into a relationship, but I don't think a guy can fuck his way into a relationship.
Oh yeah, completely, dude. Once you fuck a girl, right, she releases massive amounts of oxytocin and stuff, and she feels a lot closer to you, which is why usually they say girls have the power before sex happens, right? Women are the gatekeepers of sex, but men are the gatekeepers of relationship because once sex happens, the power dynamic largely flips. I'm not saying that's like, necessarily should be that way, but that's what happens. And usually the girl's like gets all lovey-dovey with the guy, right? That's just like I've experienced that time and time again. So I guess if you're like really religious, maybe you could get into a relationship without having sex, right? You can do it just by taking her on a bunch of dates. But I would argue that's an inferior way to get into a relationship in the first place, right? I would say that it's much better to have sex before you get in a relationship anyway. And just like if you can't get laid, you're gonna have a hard time getting a relationship.
I think there's another game being played there that people don't realize. I think that the reason why it seems like if I fuck a girl, she's more likely to be in a relationship with me is because I think that girls will generally only fuck guys usually that they'd consider a relationship with, like generally. Like there are going to be some exceptions to that, like the really super hot guy that's a loser, maybe some girls will fuck. But I think that guys are very willing to fuck any girl. And there are girls that they would fuck, and there are girls that they would date. But for girls, I think it's way more likely that if there's a guy that she's willing to fuck, she'd probably be willing to date him too. Because sex is like so much more of kind of like a vulnerable or intimate act for a woman generally than it is for a guy.
Let me ask the question like this. Like,
sure.
I'm sure you've been broke, and now you're probably pretty well off. What about for you? Like taking your clout aside, I understand you got the blue check mark and shit, but taking that aside, purely your money, has that actually helped you in any way getting girls?
Purely money doesn't, but like the way that it affects the rest of your life, it could, right? Like if you're 20 and you're the only motherfucker that has an apartment that doesn't have roommates or, parents living there, like that could be a nice thing. When you're 16, 17, sometimes the most attractive guys are the ones that have fucking cars. So, I mean, like, it kind of depends on, I guess it depends on where you're at. When it comes to like relationship building, like if I am chasing a woman now, I never have to worry about her thinking that she's not going to have like some level of financial security. She knows that if we date or get married, like I have all of that locked down 1,000,000%. So whereas like if I was a struggling streamer, way smaller, questions of career or stability might be something that crops up in her head that keeps her away from me. Now there's a lot of other reasons you should stay away from me, but money or stability isn't going to be one of them,
But you couldn't pinpoint like any specific situations where your money directly helped you get girls?
Where my money directly helped me get girls. It's probably never going to be a direct thing. Like a girl sees how much money you make and decides to fuck you. But like I've always been on the other end of things where I like, for not to jerk myself up, but like my personality has always been like pretty well geared towards that type of like dating stuff because I'm pretty funny or whatever, even if I'm kind of short. So I was like getting fucked before I had money or career, thankfully. So, but I'm kind of lucky in that regard. I don't know if that's like an average case. Could you pinpoint any situations where your clout helped you get girls? I mean, any girl that I end up fucking who DMs me on Instagram or Twitter first.
Right, there we go.
Like, yeah, of course, yeah.
But
I mean, like, it's very, very rare. Can you think of people that have a ton of clout and no money? Usually those two things kind of go hand
It's
in
rare.
hand.
Yeah, you have to be a complete dumb fuck to have a lot of clout and be broke.
Yeah, so like usually these things are going to be paired. That's why I think that like
Although,
I'm gonna do another big red pill brain. I think that's one of the reasons why women will kind of associate clout with money too, because usually if a guy is like very successful, has a lot of status, there's usually some level of like financial success that goes along with that. It's pretty rare to find guys with a ton of clout but they're broke, you know.
I think it more has to do with the status aspect. It's like, I just think that to girls nowadays, especially living in America, money is really not that impressive. Like, there's hundreds of guys who make well over 100K a year who are hitting them up all time, especially if the girl's attractive. Clout, though, is much rarer. Like, people who have status and clout, that's pretty rare. That's a lot more rarer than being rich.
That might be true in some dating markets. Like, I haven't even checked out, because I've just been working since I moved here. I haven't checked out anything in... Do you live in Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I live in Miami now too. So, because Melina still goes out of town and I hear from her, it sounds like every motherfucker here is like a fucking millionaire, or at least the people that hang out on Miami Beach. So like in that case, money probably isn't helping them much because it's not differentiating you from anybody else. So that might be the case in certain dating markets, right? You could be right there and I just don't have as much experience there to tell, so I don't know.
Well, I would say that's the case for any marketplace in a first world country. Like, the only where it might not be the case will be third world countries where girls are literally living in like abject poverty, and then for them, like, a guy,
if you're in fucking like Nebraska or Ohio and you're driving around like a Model S or like a Lambo or even like a nice Corvette, like you're gonna turn heads, right? Whereas like in Miami, it's gonna be way different, right?
But even that chick who lives in Nebraska, she has 50 rich guys in her DMs offering to fly her out anywhere and everywhere.
That's not normal. No, the rich people in DMs, that's going to be like for the hottest girls. That's not going to be for the average chick.
Any girl who's like even decently attractive, I'm telling you, man, like we've had, so many girls on our podcast. Some of them are just like very, like average looking girls, not ugly, but they're not like nothing special. And yeah, like the stories we hear, like, oh, this rich guy, this celebrity in my DMs, this guy's trying to hang out. It's always like they have 100 different options. Guys want to fly them out here, guys want to fly them out there. I think it's just because the dating marketplace is so skewed against men. In like America and stuff like that, in those countries, that the guys are just like so fucking thirsty, like, oh my god, where can I go? Where can I go? This random Nebraska chick, I'll just fly her out. Like, guys are flying girls out in like record numbers. So
I'm sure that it happens, but even in record numbers, that's still going to be a slim minority of girls, right? I don't know if I had this conversation with you, but like some people have this idea that like any girl can just make an OnlyFans and like make a fuck ton of money. I mean, like that just can't be true by the numbers, right? Like that would require every guy to be subscribing to like 10 different girls, and men don't have that much money. Like I think we tend to pick out all the people that are successful, but you don't see all the people that aren't successful. Like there's probably a ton of hot girls that don't have guys like offering to fly them out and shit, like on college campuses and stuff. But I mean, I'm sure there are a lot that do, but.
It depends on how much the girl puts herself out there. So if she can be attractive, but she keeps her Instagram on private. She doesn't post any sexy photos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that chick might not actually have guys, but any chick who like even moderately puts herself out there, like let's say she's like a 6 or 7, but her Instagram is public. She's posting like sexy photos, bikini photos. Like that chick will have, quite a few guys who are wanting to fly her out there. I think the OnlyFans thing is a little bit different because any chick can get guys to sign up for her on OnlyFans. The question is, can she make a living doing it? And I think like, if you're the average girl, you're gonna have to be like really creative in order to make a living off OnlyFans. Like you're gonna have to do something that like no one else does, or have some kind of good marketing or something like that. Although I do know plenty of examples of girls who I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole who are making like bank off OnlyFans. So those do exist as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be out there, but like, I mean, we also know like you probably know a lot of funny streamers or dudes that are like decent guys, but like they can't get off the ground like streaming or whatever. Like, I think we tend to see people that are successful, but it's harder to, it's harder to see all the people that don't make it. But
okay, if you had to pick between like you have to pick one, clout or money, which one do you think helps you get girls more?
Oh fuck, it's so hard to imagine one without the other.
Well,
I would imagine it's going to depend on the dating market, but like I just can't imagine. And also like I'm going to be honest, like so much of this stuff is going to be like personal taste on who you go for and everything too. For the type of women that I tend to go for, I think that like having money and stability is pretty important. Clout could be really important for some girls. That could be the case. And I tend, because there are a lot of girls, especially being down here in Miami, that I will never intersect with because I'm not attracted to that type of like personality. And for a lot of those types of girls, it might be the case that for them, clout is like a no-brainer. So there might be people with like vastly different experiences where they go for different types of people who are like, no, like clout is like so much more important in this case than money because they like being with somebody with that high social status or whatever. Just, it's hard, if I'm being honest, it's hard for me to say. Like I would gravitate towards like having money and the stability and success that comes along with money is going to be more important for getting a girl in a relationship than just clout. But maybe that's not the case for every girl. I haven't dated in every market, so I can't say,
I think there's some exceptions, but I would definitely say clout is infinitely more important than money. I just have so many rich clients, like guys who are making, like some guys who are making over $1 million a year, right? Who cannot meet a girl for the life of them, and they're not even bad-looking guys.
These guys have to be exceptionally fucking up, though, in their personal interactions. They got to be doing something.
Not at all, dude. Like, they're pretty normal guys. I mean, like, are you familiar with seeking arrangement, like that whole phenomenon, sugar baby, sugar daddies?
If you're looking for a sugar baby, you probably are exceptionally fucked up. That'd be my guess, but.
Right, but no, the point I was going to make is I've hooked up with quite a few chicks who are sugar babies. Like, I didn't pay them for it, but I'm just saying, like, that's what they do off time. And, like, the stories they tell is like, dude, yeah, there's this, like, millionaire who's trying to holler at me. And when they tell me the stories about the guy, I'm like, he sounds, like, pretty cool. He's like, yeah, he's just kind of, like, he's not that exciting, or he's boring, or, he gives me small dick energy or whatever, right? So there's plenty of rich guys. If rich guys didn't need to struggle, weren't struggling, like if when you got rich, you didn't have to struggle to get girls, then I wouldn't have any rich clients, right? And then there would be not this record number of rich dudes on seeking arrangement websites or paying for it. Like, there's just a record number. However, I really don't know anyone who has clout who's struggling. I had one client who was like actually fairly famous. He was a Grammy Award winning musician, and he struggled in a different department, but he had no problem getting dates. Like, he was just like, when he would play his piano, a bunch of girls would come up and like be like, oh, I love your music, here's my number. He just had a hard time like actually hooking up with them because he was really awkward. But aside from that, like, I don't know anyone who has clout who struggles, but I know so many people who have money who struggle.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me, but those guys with money are fucking something up. They absolutely are. There's no way that like they're either coming off as like way too desperate, way too clingy, way too forward. Like, there's definitely something going on there. The fact that people with clout aren't having the same problems, my guess is going to be it's not so much the fact that they have clout. That probably helps, but it's probably because people that have clout tend to be more social, right? Like, if we go and look at like very clouty people, these are people that tend to have higher social skills, tend to be able to network with a lot of people, tend to be able to talk to a lot of different people. So it wouldn't be surprising to me that like if you were to ask me 10 guys go after clout, 10 and are successful, 10 guys go after money and are successful, who's more likely to like pull girls? Well, the 10 guys going after the money might be like fucking like mechanical engineers that work for NASA. I don't know if these guys can pull chicks, but if you give me 10 guys that are successful like clout wise, well, these guys probably know how to network, they probably know how to talk to people, they probably know how to present themselves in social situations. Yeah, they're probably going to be able to pull girls, not just because they have clout, but because of the type of people that can get clout. That would be my guess.
Right, but the thing about your situation, how many girls have you had slide into your DMs just because you have clout, right? Probably a pretty good amount, right?
Well, I mean, arguably every single one, theoretically, because I'm famous, right? That's how would they know about me otherwise, But like, I was fucking girls before I ever was a streamer, and it definitely wasn't because I had money.
But it got a lot easier for you, I'm assuming.
There was more access, yeah, because I'm like can cycle through a lot more girls for sure. Yeah.
Right, which is basically the same thing. Is you have to put in less work to get laid.
Yeah, or less work to find somebody, which means less work altogether. Sure.
Yeah, right. But I just again, like, I've never heard stories like that with people who were like broke, and then like I can tell you myself. Like, I used to be ultra skinny and then I put on muscle. I used to be broke, now I have money. The muscle thing I can attribute, like, there's certain girls who like, yeah, like that was maybe what pushed the pushed the envelope. They saw me post like a good shirtless photo, or they were like, oh, you have nice abs, and they've hooked up with me. I've seen that happen, right? Because that caused attraction. It's the same way with height. Like, a guy who's tall is very physically attracted to a woman, so she's like, oh my God, you're so tall, right? But with money, it's just like, oh, cool, you're rich, yeah, all right, cool, yeah, awesome. But it doesn't cause that attraction, right? Money doesn't make girl attracted. It might make her logically think that you're a good option, but it doesn't cause that physical primal attraction like height or muscle does.
Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, it's hard to like. It's hard because it's all like anecdotal. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. I would say that I feel like men care about height way more than women do. A lot of guys like even lie about their height. A lot of women don't know how tall guys are sometimes, unless they like follow it like very closely. I feel like the obsession over height is definitely like a male-driven thing, but I mean, like, we might just have different experiences. I'm kind of a shorter guy, so obviously I probably don't intersect with a lot of women that are into super tall guys. So maybe that's the reason why I believe that. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like on TikTok and on Tinder, like all the time I see on Tinder, like don't swipe right if you're under like 5'11" or 6 feet. Like I see that shit on Tinder like all the time.
I see that, but that's rare. That's not all the time. That's like 1 out of every like 50 girls that I've seen on Tinder. I think that's pretty rare that people like swipe. Like you see it all the time like on Reddit and shit. But if you actually hop on Tinder, or at least in any Tinder I've been on, it's pretty rare when a girl has that like swipe left unless you're
I would say it's only like 5 or 10% of girls who have that in her bio, but a lot of girls, if you don't have height in your bio, will ask you. I would say it's close to 30 to 50% of girls that if you don't have your height in your bio, she will ask you about it, right? If she didn't care, she wouldn't ask you about it. But it's pretty rare that a girl is like, oh, how much do you make? That's a very rare question. Like, would you at least agree that you get asked about your height more than you get asked about how much money you make?
Yeah, you probably would, because the asking the money thing is rude. But I think that guys care a lot about
rude too, right?
What?
Height thing is kind of rude too. Height is outside of your control. You can't even control your height.
Doesn't matter. It's just not considered rude. I'm not saying it's fair, but colloquially speaking, it's way more acceptable to ask somebody their height than it is to ask somebody how much money they're making. But like girls will know when they go to your house. Like for instance, like guys, would you say that guys probably care how much a girl weighs? Probably, right?
Yeah, of course,
but guys don't usually ask that question, like how much do you weigh? It doesn't mean we don't care about it. It just means it's like kind of a social faux pas to ask.
I mean, I do all the time if I think the girl might be secretly fat. But yeah, most guys won't. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But they might ask like, what do you do for work? And if you answer some shit like I live with my mom and dad, it's probably not going to look too good, right?
Well, I mean, I think the only way to get to the bottom of this is to do experiment. Like I could like go on Tinder and say your job is like a janitor or something like that and see whether that gives you less matches. But I would make the argument that a good looking janitor will get way more matches than a average looking engineer for Boeing or something like that.
Maybe for when it comes to just fucking, maybe. But for like people willing to date, I don't think so. Not at all. I think the janitor is kind of a way harder time getting partners to date.
But did you ever have a hard time getting into a relationship before you had money? Because I never had that issue.
No, I didn't. But I'm a pretty charismatic guy that can communicate with people, make people laugh. Like I'm lucky in that way.
Right, which I would argue is more important than money in of itself.
It can be, yeah, but that's like a really hard thing to to just train people on, right?
Well, I mean, that's like the premise of learning game, right? Just learning how to be more charismatic. I mean, charisma can be learned.
It can be, but it's not. It can't be learned through like a couple of like quick tips on like a do this or do that. That's something that has to be practiced. It can be learned for sure, but it more than learned, it has to be practiced over like an extensive period of time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not an easy thing, but I guess the point I'm making is like like even if you're like not financially successful, it's still if you're good at getting girls to hook up with you, getting into a relationship is actually the easy part. Once the girl sleeps with you, getting her to date you is usually the easy part. The hard part is getting the girl to sleep with you. Everything after that, at least for me and pretty much every guy I know, has been the easy part, because usually after sex, most girls are the ones, especially if you fuck her well, most girls are the ones who are pushing for the relationship, not so much the guy. So at that point, it's just a matter of like not getting needy, not doing anything weird, not freaking her out, and then just like, going along with it if you want a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're kind of circling the drain. I mean, we disagree, but yeah. I have a hard time believing that like a decently well-off girl is going to date an attractive dude who's making like $30,000 a year. We can find tons of examples of women that are willing to date guys that are making a fuck ton of money that are kind of hideous in other examples. But I think it's pretty rare to find. But I mean, I could be wrong. I don't have the numbers on this.
What kind of data would you need to see to change your mind on this?
Well, I mean, technically, the only data I've seen it shows that like a higher percentage of women tend to date up like socioeconomically. I've seen that data, that even as they make more money. I guess if there was data showing that, it's hard because like asking people their preferences is weird too, because they're not always honest. I don't know. I have to think about it. I mean, I'm sure there's data out there that could show it, like either case studies of like people experimenting, or who tends to get matched more on social media. Does it have to do with jobs or pictures, or who tends to get into relationships more? I mean, there's data out there. I would have to think about it, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I guess the next point is one of your quotes: if you're a stable dude with a good job, you're going to be able to pull a ton. Dude, I completely disagree with that one. There's just so many guys who, kind of anecdotal, but I do have a pretty large sample size since I am a dating coach and I've coached like thousands of guys at this point. Most of my clients are stable dudes who have good jobs because I charge $250 an hour. So if you're a broke motherfucker, you can't afford that, right? So pretty much every client I have is a stable dude with a good job, because otherwise you can't pay for the coaching session. And like none of them can pull a ton. Like they're all fucking struggling, right? Which is why they're calling me. And I just, even outside of that, just like going out And like, I don't know, when I do like meetups with my fans or like whatever, anything, or I'm out in any social situation, it's just like time and time again, I hear stories about guys who are stable, good dudes with good jobs who are having a really, really hard time with chicks.
I would like, maybe we would disagree on like what's important personality wise, whatever, but I would say that like if anybody's seriously having that problem, I think they're fucking something up like pretty big. That would be my guess. But I think you disagree with that, so.
I don't think you need to be doing something. When you say fucking something up, what do you mean like specifically?
Like you either come off as like, I think the biggest issue is probably people coming off as really desperate, like very clingy. I think is like one of the biggest issues that people have.
I don't think you need to be numb. I think like just guys who are like the kind of guys who crush it with girls are usually the guys who are very outgoing, charismatic, very action taking, aren't afraid of social risks, very confident and dominant alpha. Those are the guys who don't really struggle, but that's like 1% of men.
Yeah.
Like the other 99%, like then there's like the 30-40% who are like, yeah, like they have like some.
I don't think that you have to be like one of those like top 1% charismatic people to like get girls interested in you. I'm just saying that usually when I look at like, if somebody tells me this story about themselves and they're decently successful, they've got decent education, they seem like a cool dude, and they're like, I don't know why this isn't working. And anytime I'm like looking over DMs or whatever, it's usually, not always, but it's usually because they're coming off as really desperate. They're sending way too many messages. They're way too self-deprecating, like not in a funny way, but like in a, this person has no self-esteem way. They're way too like yas queening of the woman. I'm saying you don't have to neg people, but when you come off as like a massive simp, like you just seem boring. Those are usually the mistakes that I see whenever I see people talk about this type of stuff. Not to say that happens all the time, but
like what percentage? Okay, like if we take all the stable dudes who have good jobs, what percentage of them do you think are like actually doing good with women?
I have no idea.
If you had to like guess, put a ballpark on it, just like roughly, what is your estimate?
People with good jobs, what is the percentage of them that are doing decent with women? I'd probably ballpark it at literally 50%. That'd be my guess.
Okay. I would put it at 5 to 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, I would put it at like no more than 10% for sure. I think like the average guy is like really, really struggling with the way, especially with the way the marketplace
Well,
is
hold
now.
on. You said guys that are doing really well financially. That's not the average guy, right?
No, okay, you're right. I'm just talking about even if we're going off the guys who are doing well, even out of that sample group, like the majority of them are having a really, really hard time meeting girls. Like,
wait, what is the percentage of guys that are meeting girls? If those guys are at 5 or 10%.
What are the? Well, it's usually the way the marketplace is now. Like 5% of the guys are doing 95% of the fucking.
We're not talking about fucking. We're talking about relationships. Are only 5% of men in relationships?
5% of men are meeting most of the girls. Yeah, like I think
but
the
they're
guy
not dating them all, right? 5% of men aren't dating most of the girls.
They're usually dating the most attractive girls. Yeah, it's usually will be like, well, usually also those guys have several girls that they're dating or hanging out with at the same time. So it's not like one guy per one girl. But yeah, usually like the guy with a good job, like later on in life when he's in his 30s and the girl's looking to settle down, he might be able to get like into a relationship. But I don't consider that doing good with girls. I consider doing good with girls is like when you have a lot of options, right? Where you're like, oh, I can have this chick, I can have this chick, I have that chick. Like you have a lot of options. I think like the majority of guys who have good jobs don't have a lot of options.
Because they're older, or
no, just because they don't have good game. They don't stand out enough. They're not outgoing enough. They're not extroverted enough. They're not charismatic enough, and they don't have any status or clout.
What is like, I don't know the answers, maybe you do. What is like the percentage of guys in a relationship?
What percentage of like the overall male population is in the relationship?
Yeah.
I don't know if I had to put a number on. Well, also depends on how we define relationship, but I guess anything that's monogamous.
You're like dating a girl for at least like a month, I guess.
Yeah, like at any given point in time, I'd say it's like 30 or 40% or something like that, maybe 30%.
Okay, but you wouldn't say that all of those guys are doing good.
No.
What?
I think.
Huh?
We're gonna go out.
Okay, be careful.
I'll message you. You're not in this phone.
What do you need? Hi.
Hi.
I don't know. Okay, I'll message you.
Yeah, I would not call that doing good, because usually it's like a relationship where they're also settling a little bit, where they're like not with a girl they truly want to be in. They're just with her because of scarcity. I mean, I just see those situations countless. I consider doing good is when you have a lot of options, right? You have like, it doesn't have to be a crazy amount, but like 3 or 4 options. Like there's multiple girls you can hang out with.
Oh, okay. If you're saying, if that's your definition of doing really well, then by definition, that would only be like the top like 1 to 10% probably.
Okay, so your definition of doing good is just being in a relationship?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bar is really low right now because it feels like a lot of people are like lonely as fuck and like super depressed. So I'm like, as long as you're dating somebody, you're doing well. But I understand what you're saying now. Okay, sure, that makes more sense. Yeah, 50% of men are not like dating game guys or whatever for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So okay, now that makes sense. Okay, so
when I say 50%, I mean like they have like the option to date somebody. Like I think right now it's like somebody just linked a chat in my stat. Like apparently 50% of men are married by age 28. So like I would say like that's decent. But you're setting a higher standard there. Yeah.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, if you set the bar at like just being able to get into a relationship with like one chick, then yeah. Okay.
But I think that's probably going to be normal. I don't know if like every guy should expect to be able to like pick up like 20 chicks or whatever, maybe, right? I guess unless they like make a deliberate effort to like super work on that part of themselves, I guess.
Well, I think the vast majority of guys do want to be in abundance. Like even if you want to get in a relationship, you probably want to get into a relationship place of abundance where you have like 10 girls you're hooking up with and get to pick the one that you really like the most to be your girlfriend. Versus what usually happens, like this is the one girl that will sleep with me. I'm just going to make her my girlfriend to lock her in. That's usually the way it goes. So I think most guys, if I could like wave a magic wand, they would be in a place of abundance. It's just they don't have that luxury.
Yeah, probably. I mean, depending on what they're looking for, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we kind of agree on this then. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is the one I probably disagree with the most. If you're an ugly guy, there's a lot you can do to fudge that. If you're an ugly woman, you're fucked. So, and I actually have some data when it comes to this. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Tinder experiments that we did, but we did one where we created a Tinder profile as a male model, right? Just really, really good looking guy, fucking Giga Chad, whatever you want to call it. He got something like 140 likes in 24 hours, which is pretty good. But then we took the profile as an obese girl. We're talking about a girl that's just like a wildebeest, like a one, like the most unattractive girl you could imagine. She had 500 likes in 24 hours. Guys were begging her to hang out. They were like, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. Like, I can't wait to meet up with you. Like, these guys were desperate. So that kind of experiment kind of showed you that the unattractive girl still does a lot better than dating marketplace than a really good looking guy.
So I think it depends on what we're looking at. So a lot of times we talk about the friend zone for guys, where guys really want to date a girl, but they can't do it. But what people never talk about is the fuck zone for girls. I think that there are definitely obese girls that can hook up with a fuck ton of guys when it comes to Tinder. But like, these are guys that are going to like fuck this girl and then like sneak her out of the house in a fucking, black trash bag because they don't want any of their friends to see like what they just put their dick in. I think that there's a big difference between like guys like being willing to date women versus guys just being willing to fuck women. Because guys' standards, what I said before was that I think that women's standards for who they date and who they would fuck are a lot closer together than men's standards who will only date here but will fuck all the way down to fucking hell, like in my opinion.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think I've seen guys date and fuck girls who are like way below their standards. I see this time and time again.
Yeah, they might do it, but in general, this I'll take a really strong position here. Guys are absolutely willing to date, are willing to fuck way below what they would be willing to date. Absolutely, 1,000,000,000% they would be willing to. There's a lot of guys that'll fuck a girl who would never in their wildest, they wouldn't even want their friends to see the girl that this guy fucked. I think that's pretty.
Is it like that for you personally?
Would I? Yeah, probably. I'd fuck a lot of girls I wouldn't date for sure. Yeah, for sure, of course.
Because for me, I would say maybe I'd be willing to go 1 point lower when it comes to fucking rather than dating. But I'm not gonna fuck a girl I'm not attracted to. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of being attracted. Like, there are girls that you can fuck that you're like mildly attracted that you wouldn't be willing to date. Right, and there can be girls that you it's just that's the one that you found for that night, right? I think that I think when it comes to people in our position, it's easier to turn girls down because we have access to a ton of women. Like, that's something that's definitely true. But for an average guy, he doesn't have like 5 or 10 women in his DMs at any point in time that he'd be willing to fuck. Sometimes that's the girl that you got lucky with on Tinder. That's the one that decided to be receptive to you at the bar. And I think for a lot of guys, they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'll fuck. Like, this is even, it's so true. This is like a cultural meme at this point of like the guy getting drunk enough to fuck a girl that he brought home because otherwise he thinks she's disgusting.
Okay, maybe, but I still think the overweight girl is going to have an easier time even getting into a relationship, like taking sex aside, than a good-looking guy. In all honesty, like I had this one chick on my channel for debate. No like disrespect to her, but she's a beast, right? She's like very nice lady, but she's a beast. But anyway, so she has like a husband, and then she has boyfriends and all this shit. Her husband is this like good looking lumberjack dude, apparently, who's like tall and pretty muscular, and she also has the option of sleeping with other guys and dating other guys versus he just sleeps with her. Like that chick was able to find a relationship that's like so skewed in her favor, right?
Kind of,
Like,
but even what you said there, and I would have to know more details, and it's just one example too, but like you say like a lumberjack guy, like that doesn't sound like I'm sure you know who like Kevin Samuels is, right? It doesn't sound like a high value man, right? Again, because guys tend to be favored more, I think, for their accomplishments and their financial stability than just their looks. That lumberjack dude might have been like super hot, but like there's a reason why he's with the wildebeest and not with like a super hot girl, is because like just being hot as a guy isn't enough to land a woman for a good relationship. It's just enough to fuck some women. But when it comes time to like pulling the trigger, like I think women in general are going to be valued for youthfulness and looks, whereas guys are going to be valued for the amount of money they have. There were so many women that would call into Kevin Samuels' show like begging, like, please tell me, how can I get a high value man? How can I do I can't figure it out. And he'll start asking like, well, how old are you? 33. Like, what size dress you wear? 12. Like, oh, well, how tall are you? Like, oh, like, and they're just like, okay, yeah, you're not going to get a guy that's making 6 figures. And this happens time and time again, where she can find a guy to fuck who makes that amount of money, but she can't find a guy to date who makes that amount of money.
I don't know, dude. I've seen so many examples, again, kind of anecdotal, but I've seen so many examples of unattractive girls dating guys who make well over 6 figures. And the guy's like good looking, and he has like more or less on paper, he's like a way better catch. And he's dating a girl that's obese, right?
There's just no way. Maybe you've seen it, but like I can't. I would put money that's going to be the exception rather than the norm. I would put so much money on that. That like super, like you can go and look at who any celebrity in Hollywood is dating. 99% of the time, it's like a 24-year-old girl. That's
celebrity. Fame and clout, different than money, right?
Sure, but I mean, like you can go and look at like go look at the wives. Like, who do you think has more attractive wives? Like the people that are working at managers at Best Buy, or the people that are partners at a law firm? Like, is it going to be the people that are working as like store managers at Walmart, or is it going to be people that are doctors? Right? Like, I think it's always going to be the guys that have the higher status, the higher paying jobs there. It's going to be pretty rare to see them like having like massive, obese, kind of whatever wives for whatever reason, I think.
I don't know, dude. Like from what I see, like a lot of these rich guys actually have like fairly low standards. Like, I mean, I live in Miami, so I kind of sometimes run in that crowd. And I just see a lot of them are just like, why would you even date this girl? Like, she seems like so basic and like even overweight. And this guy's like very, financially successful. I don't know. Like with celebrities, I totally agree with you. It's very rare that you see a celebrity with like an ugly girl, although that does happen as well. Like Will Smith being the perfect example. But aside from that, like, but
I mean, look at like even for an example, the normal working world. Like one of the biggest fears of women is that if they're dating a husband and they're with him through like through high school, or not through high school, but they're with him through like college and everything, as soon as he becomes like really successful in medicine or in law, like what's the biggest fear? That he's about to dump her for somebody younger, more attractive. That's why they're so afraid of like secretaries and shit. Because like fuck, like this guy's options just dramatically expanded once he made partner, once he became a surgeon, once he got this like huge 6-figure job, that they start to get threatened by it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not denying that an increase in your money can potentially help you. I just don't think it helps as much as I think you may think it is. All right, let me pose the question like this. Who do you think, when it comes to getting laid, who do you think would do better, an attractive guy or a fat girl?
When it comes to getting laid, unless the guy is literally God's gift to earth and the girl is like missing an eye, then probably the girl when it comes to getting laid.
I think even if she's missing an eye,
maybe
that wouldn't be a disqualifying
fuck
factor.
the eye socket.
Okay, what about a guy who's good looking and has money versus a fat girl?
When it comes to getting laid, probably the fat girl still.
Okay. So when it comes to casual sex, you agree with me. That's easier to be an overweight girl.
Yeah, but like I said before, I think it's because guys have two buckets that they're willing to put people in. Is like one is like people that, or I'm sorry, women have two buckets for guys. They've got like friends and they've got like people that they would fuck or be in relationships with. Guys have every girl in the same bucket. Like a guy will fuck almost any girl that he knows. Almost any guy will fuck almost any girl. That's why if you make any Tinder profile and you get on Tinder, you're getting like 10,000 matches in 2 days. It's because almost any guy will fuck any girl. But girls are a lot more selective when it comes to that. But when it comes to getting into relationships, I think that attractive guy is going to have an easier time than the fat girl if you're like shopping for a good relationship but you're just not willing to be in a relationship with whoever.
But you don't think that, like, okay, if the fat girl can get like 2,000 or whatever, 500 likes on Tinder, and she can get like 20 guys who want to hang out with her every single night, that at least one of those guys will want to date her?
Yeah, it'll be a guy, but it won't be somebody that she wants to date. She's going to be dating some dude and then calling into Kevin Samuels like the next 2 months, but like, why can I only find guys that want to work at gas stations? How do I get one of these like 6-figure guys, one of these high value men to date me? And then Kevin Samuels is going to run it down, and she's going to find out, fuck, like.
Well, not anymore because he's dead, but he would have.
Sure, the ghost of Kevin Samuels, but.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like even when we did the experiment, like I was kind of surprised myself because I sort of was expecting what you were expecting, like what you were talking about, where like, well, you know, the overweight girl will be getting like kind of like loser type of guys. But a lot of the guys looked like, on paper at least, like everything was perfect. Like they had some good prestigious jobs, like we saw doctors and whatnot, lawyers. They were good looking dudes. Like on paper, they looked like really good candidates. And I just think like, yeah, I agree with you that not all those guys, while all those guys would bang the fat girl, not all of them would date her. But I think a certain percentage of them would date the fat girl anyway.
I don't know. I mean, maybe if they're like really socially awkward, have other problems going on. But do you agree with my? I'm curious. It seems you disagree fundamentally. Do you agree that guys are willing to date a way larger amount of people that they are willing to fuck way more people than they would date, or do you think that those numbers are pretty close together?
I think there is. We're talking about averages. I think there is a discrepancy, yes, but I don't think it's as big as you think it is. Like, this is kind of what Rollo. It's funny because a lot of these issues, you're actually more red pill than I am, because that's kind of what Rollo Tomasi argues, is that guys are willing to like fuck anything, but guys have basically no floor. I don't agree with that. Like, me and every single friend I have, we all have a floor, and it's like pretty reasonable. Like, and I don't hang out with like the coolest people ever. Like I have some friends who are not that successful with women, but even them, like they have standards. I don't know. I don't know who these guys are who have like no standards at all.
How do you think it gets to be the point that like have you ever heard of the movie like Shallow Hal, or like like it's like it's ubiquitous through like so many Western cultures, so many movies. Like it's almost like immortalized, this idea that like, yeah, a guy's gonna fuck a girl. There's like the iconic scene of him waking up the next morning and he's not drunk anymore and he looks inside, he's like, oh god. There's like the jokes about like I'm not ready to fuck you yet, I haven't drank enough. Like, where do all these jokes, all these cultural like zeitgeist opinions come from, if not the fact that guys are willing to fuck so much below what they'd be willing to date?
I think alcohol is like the X factor. I think alcohol can cause you to do that. I've certainly, when I used to drink, you know, I would lower my standards. But I think alcohol aside, unless you're extremely drunk, and to be fair, girls will also go way below their standards when they're drunk. I've heard stories like that for days where girls just go way lower because they were drunk. And then like, that's why even you have some of the rape stuff where the girl's like, whoa, like I didn't want to actually fuck this guy. And then, you know, she, that is the key difference, right? Is as a guy, you're trying to get a girl drunk because she won't fuck you. But as a guy, you want to get drunk so that you could just like forget about it and fuck this one girl. It's like a difference in like perspective, right? Like the guy knows, he's like, okay, fuck it, like we're drinking a lot, so I can do this. So I don't think anyone goes into it like, I want to get drunk so I can fuck a fatty tonight. Like I don't know.
I mean, I think some guys literally do. I think it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna drink a lot. Girls, you know, I got my alcohol goggles on and shit, and they'll do it. I think there are guys that will do that, yeah. But again, maybe it's so hard because so much of this like anecdotal. Like you could be totally right, and I might be completely off here, or I could be totally right, you could be completely off. It's hard to know, but.
Yeah, I mean, what would you say is like the difference? Like, okay, let's say let's say a guy will only date a 7+. Like, what do you think is the discrepancy between what they will date and what they will fuck? Like, do you think it's 2 points, 4 points? Like, what exactly do you think?
I think it's like 7 points.
7 points. Holy
I think
shit.
It's huge. Yeah. I think there are guys that might want to date like an 8, but if they get desperate, they start scrolling fucking Tinder some night, they'll fuck like a 1 or 2. They'll be like, yeah, fuck it. This girl said she'll fucking meet me up, blow me in my car. Fuck it. I'll go and do it. And then they'll like walk the fuck away. And again, like we can say that like, because I know there are going to be people listening like, oh, he's just saying because he's projecting, blah, blah, blah. But you said it yourself. You can make some obese as fuck woman's profile, hop on Tinder and get 10 times the matches as a fucking Greek god. Right? Like you can do this in any geography. And like you said yourself, a lot of the guys that'll match like with the wildebeest are literally like fucking 8s, 9s. These guys are doctors or lawyers. Like, what the fuck's going on? I think that is the reason. It's because like, I don't think that they're going to be dating that girl, but there are a lot of like, you know what, fuck it. If she wants to blow me, you know, I'll fuck her, fuck it.
I think that's the thing. A good percentage of those guys would be willing to date that girl. Like
okay, I guess I don't see that happening, but I mean, it could, but it's hard to know who's right on that. Yeah. Or, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of those guys who are matching with that wildebeest chick, they are just very like desperate, right? They haven't been near vagina for years, so they're like their brain is literally like frazzled. Like they just see like some like long hair, and they're like, oh, whatever. We even did an experiment. This, you'll get a kick out of this one, where we took my photos, we used FaceApp to turn me into a girl, right? Just literally the click of a button, and I got like 1,000 matches in 24 hours.
Sure.
Alexa, right? So basically, the female version of me, which really just looks like really bizarre, does better 100 times better than the male version of me, which is insane.
For sure.
So I think that goes to the fact that a lot of guys are like super duper desperate. But I think that if you're willing to lower your standards that much for sex, quite often you will even date that girl, because otherwise, like, you wouldn't see these situations where there's a really good looking guy with like an unattractive girl. But I see this shit like all the fucking time, like all the time, and like blows my mind. Okay, I don't know if you saw this one. There was this TikTok video that I reacted to. It was a really popular. It was about this chick who's like literally a 2 who's hanging out with a guy who's like a Greek god. Did you see that one?
What was this?
It was like this popular TikTok that was going out, and I did a reaction video to this. It was this chick who's like a 2 who's basically married to a guy who's like a Greek god. Like he's like
I
a
didn't
minor,
see it,
right?
but
Okay. Well, anyway, so that was going around. Like the discrepancy between them was insane, and they were married, right? And like I reacted to this video. I was making the point that like I think the dating marketplace is so fucking competitive that guy was like, fuck it, this is the best I can do, right? Like otherwise, why would that guy be with that chick?
I mean, I'd have to know that particular story, but oftentimes when those types of big mismatches happen, one, it could be because somebody's legitimately like, I just want the person with the best personality, and they're willing to go for a girl that doesn't look as good. Or two, oftentimes it can be that like they started dating before the man's value was as high as it was. So like you might find like stories where you've got like not as attractive women dating like pretty decent like lawyers and doctors and shit, but you found out they started dating in high school or college. Like that can happen, as well. That's why the meme exists that like when these people become, doctors and lawyers, they get really scared that like the women will get scared that like the secretaries are about to steal their husbands and shit.
Let me share the video so you can kind of get an idea what I'm talking about. It's pretty quick. All right, so this is the video.
One of the most extreme cases I've ever seen.
I've seen it all. This is some next level shit. Take a look at this video I randomly stumbled upon on TikTok. I mean, these two are married. Like, how insane is that?
Something else is going on here. It's
Dude,
something else is going on here. And absolutely, I bet my life on it. I know something else is going on here.
What do you think is going on?
Either they just posed for a TikTok and it's a fucking meme, or they started dating a long time ago and that's why they're still together, or the guy has like a BBW fetish, or something.
The BBW fetish is possible, but aside from that, I think like this is a more extreme case of it. Yeah, that is like it's usually not that extreme.
Yeah.
But I've seen less extreme cases of that all the fucking time.
Sure, but I mean like. Think about like what would turn heads, right? Because like why do you think that YouTube video, why do you think that TikTok video is so popular?
Well, because most people are looking at it and they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. But if there was a YouTube video of like a 50-year-old kind of whatever dude with like a 24-year-old hottie, what would people think? They'd be like, oh, the guy's probably loaded.
Right.
So so it wouldn't even be a surprise. So like I think this is so rare. That's why it's getting like so much attention. That's why it turns people. It's like, why the fuck would he be with her? But nobody would see like a 25-year-old with like a 55-year-old. Like, why is she with him? They would instantaneously say like, oh, the guy's probably like loaded or like really successful, like big career or something.
But even in those situations where like the 50-year-old dude is with a 20-year-old chick, it's usually not like it's just like a clean case of attraction. Like usually he's paying for her some way. Either he's paying her bills or he's a sugar daddy in some ways. Like usually it's not that the 20-year-old is just legitimately dating the 50-year-old. Like that actually very rarely happens. It's usually he's paying for it some way indirectly, which basically makes the chick a sugar baby or a prostitute.
But that's why like I would say it just depends on how we like you use that word paying for it. She's paying for it as well. She's paying for it with looks. Guys paying for it with resources, girls paying for it with looks, which kind of goes back to that fundamental thing for how I say at least people choose to date is guys typically shop around for looks, women typically shop around for resources. And you can get a guy to pay for a girl with resources, you can get a girl to pay for a guy with looks and youthfulness.
How do you pay with looks? Like, because
you be young. That's why when women, that's why people have these phrases like women hitting the wall. Men don't hit the wall because men can keep making money. They're telling. Sometimes red pill people get this. I think it's a mistaken assumption like women hit the wall because they can't have kids anymore. I don't think that's true. I think people think women hit the wall because they run out of youthful looking attractive currency to pay for because they age out of what guys want in terms of appearance. But men don't hit the wall because women will always be looking for a guy that can provide those types of resources.
Yeah, I just think like a 50-year-old chick, I've hooked up with some like Mills, and like the 50-year-old chick who has like, as long as she didn't like really let herself go, will do better than the guy in his like 20s, like, or then like I've just seen enough cases of that where like I've hooked up with some mills and like I've seen their Tinder and they're being blown the fuck up, right? Now, granted, they were better looking than the average lady her age, but like these 50-year-old ladies are doing way better than I am doing, for example.
Yeah, but like, have you dated any mills?
Have I dated any males? Well, to be fair, I'm like very picky about who I date in the first place.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you want to date an older woman?
Why would I not want to date older women? I mean, I guess theoretically I would. Like, I don't think I would be completely closed off to it if she was like hot. I mean, if it's a massive age discrepancy, that might get kind of weird because in like 5 years she's going to be like, you know, she's going to age fast.
Yeah, but listen to what you're saying there. A girl would never say that of a guy. Well, in 5 years he's going to age fast. No, they wouldn't. People, dude, 80% of women on this planet, 95% of women would still fuck Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise even. Tom Cruise is a short dude. They'd still do it because the dude is decently attractive and he's super successful, got a lot of clout, got a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah, I sort of agree with you on that. Yes, I think that, of course, looks matter more for women than they do for men. I fully acknowledge that. Yeah, of course. However, I do think that because the dating marketplace is so fucking skewed, I still think that an overweight girl will do better than like a rich guy. All other factors being equal, meaning they put in the same amount of like whatever effort and have the same level of social skills. But I do acknowledge that looks matter a lot more for women than they do for men. I just think the dating marketplace is so skewed that it overcompensates for that. Where like literally any girl who has a vagina is already a prize in of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are other issues there that make that statement true. I think, I don't know if we talked about this before, I think one of the big differences is that women, I think, do better single than men do single because I think women have better friendships than men do. And I think that's a big contributing factor. I think it's something like 25% of men, I think, say that they're not happy being single. Or I'm sorry, 25% of men, I think, say they are happy being single, but it's like 38% of women say they're happy being single. And I think one of the reasons is because women tend to have way more emotionally fulfilling friendships than men do, who can't talk about their feelings ever with any with any guy ever, right? Like women will like go into their friend groups and talk about their relationships. They'll talk about like their friends, like their husband's like dick size. They'll talk about like every possible thing under the sun. They'll vent about issues and everything. And men will go into like friendships and they'll be wanting to literally commit suicide and they'll message you, dude, and be like, you want to play Call of Duty tonight, until the guy like hates himself, and like that's it. So I think that women tend to do better in friendships, which might be one of the reasons why they're okay being single. Whereas for men, because now if you don't have a woman in your life, you probably have no emotional outlet ever, unless you've got a close relationship with like your mom or something. You're like fucked. So I think there are probably a couple factors that play into that.
I mean, I do agree with that. Yes, like women are typically way better at expressing their emotions than men. Men are more likely to like stifle up their emotions and whatnot, and not be able to express those. And I do think women have better friendships than men on average. But I think there's also another factor, and that's like having options. So like even when a girl who's at least like, let's just say average in every sense of the word is single, she has options. She has many options. She knows at any point she could get a guy to sleep with her. She could get a boyfriend. Like at any time, there's guys who are, she's being approached multiple times a day. There's guys sliding in her DMs when she creates a Tinder. She gets blown up with matches. So at least if she's choosing to stay, if she's single, she's doing it by choice. Either she's insanely picky and her standards are through the roof, or she's just like doing it by choice. She's not actually taking dating seriously. Versus quite often the guy doesn't, like the average guy doesn't have that option. He's not having a bunch of girls approach him. He's not having girls slide in his DMs. He feels lonely and he's not sure if he could even get a girl if he wanted to. So he's
but I mean, like, if the woman's willing to be single by choice, though, like there are a lot of men that, like, there are times like I generally, just because of who I am, right, because of online shit, like there are times when I have a lot of options, but just because I have a lot of options doesn't mean I'll stay single. Like I don't like being single. Even if I have a lot of options, it doesn't mean I'm going to sit back and be like, oh, fuck it, you know? Whereas I think women have an easier time being single than men. And if it is the case that more women will be single than men, then that's going to naturally create a disbalance or an unbalance in the dating markets, right? Because women will be like, oh, fuck it, I can be single. If there's twice as many or 3 times as many women willing to say that than men, well, then you're going to have a hugely disproportionate dating market, right? Because there's more men chasing less women.
Yeah, I mean, I just think another part of it is also that women tend to like really, they want to date like that ultra high value guy, so they want the DJ or they want the guy who has like whatever, who's an actor, famous actor, or something like that, right? And they're almost like saving themselves for that guy, which he's realistically probably not even going to date them in the first place. Versus the guys who are just like, I'll take even equal or even below equal. Versus girls want like really go above their whatever about their value guys are like, okay, whatever. I don't go above my value. I'll go below my value. Like that's how desperate I am. I just think women are a lot less desperate because they have so many more options.
Yeah, kind of. I think we have to be really careful when we talk about value. I don't think men usually go below their value. I think that men and women hit at about their value, but people don't think so because they're valued in different ways. But we already kind of fundamentally disagree with this. Like, I don't think that ultra high value, high success men are going after like super old, like average women. I think that they're tending to date younger. They're tending to date like the more high value women, but women are valued for different things than men are. But I think we already kind of disagreed on that, so obviously we probably disagree on this too. But
yeah, I mean, I know it's anecdotal, but do you have any friends where like you see the guy's quote unquote high value, but he's dating a girl that you're just like, why the fuck is he with her? Because I have plenty of friends just like that.
Never in my entire life. I've never seen.
Really?
I can think of maybe like one example, maybe, but it's because like the guy is like really chilled and laid back, and the guy started dating the woman when like I think when they were in high school or something, or like just out of college or something. Yeah, and they've got like a happy life and they've like built like a good family and they're like chilling and everything. But other than that, no, I can't think of a single instance ever in my entire life where like a super high value, super successful guy is with like kind of an average woman. I see the opposite happen all the time, where there are like these super attractive women that are with these like kind of whatever guys, but they're like really successful, or guys that are constantly like trading up or upgrading. That happens a ton in the streamer world. You see that happen with almost every popular streamer. He'll start out streaming, he's got a certain girlfriend, boyfriend. A girl can happen too, and then as soon as they get more popular, they get more money, they start to upgrade or trade out or whatever. That seems to always be the case. It'll always move in one direction, with a guy going younger and younger and younger for women, or more attractive as he gets more popular and makes more money.
I do think clout changes the game. Like I do think that like men line up for women, but women line up for famous guys. So I think status and clout does change the game for the guy. Like you can go from having like very limited options to having a lot of options just through becoming like somewhat famous.
But for women, it doesn't really work that way, because who the fuck cares? Like, you don't have to be famous as a woman to get.
Right. Well, as a woman, if you're even mildly attractive, you have a crap. Even if you're not attractive,
even if you're not attractive, you've got all sorts of guys that are willing to fuck you at least, right? Yeah.
But so you legitimately don't think like any of those guys would be willing to date the obese girl?
Not generally, no. I think there's going to be some, but I think that women are way more likely to want to date the guy that they'd fuck than guys are willing to date the woman they'd fuck, because women's standards for dating and sex are a lot closer than men's standards are for dating and sex. I think that to be really true, but that's a really hard one.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think it's probably closer. Yeah, sure. I don't think women will.
I think it's a lot closer. I think it's way, way, way closer.
I just don't know. I just don't have like, I don't know any guys who are just like have close to no standards when it comes to fucking. Like every guy I know is like, okay, like she has to at least be like 5.5 or 6 and above.
Sure, but like if you got a guy who's like a 9 in terms of like career and everything, willing to fuck a 5.5 or a 6, like you're not gonna find a girl that's like a 9 or a 10 willing to fuck a guy that's like a 5.5 or a 6. Like she's not going into fucking like Target and looking for like a supervisor to fuck. That's never happening. This girl's got millionaires hitting her up in her DMs. This girl's got like the pick of like the world when it comes to men, right?
Although to be fair, sometimes you see like, especially with like female porn stars, like these smoking hot porn stars, and their boyfriends are just like, I don't know, like they're like porn, like they're kind of in the porn world, but not really. Like they're not that good looking, they're not that financially well off. So you do kind of see that as well, where girls are dating guys where he's just like so much far below her.
Yep, in like, porn that is true, but porn is a special exception because men generally don't like it when their women have had a lot of partners. So you will see women that are paired off with guys that are more willing to accept that, so they can compromise in other areas, because most guys don't want women that have had a lot of sexual partners or continue to have a lot of sexual partners. Really good example of this. This is going to be a really mean example. I don't mean to do it this way. I love and cherish all of mankind, but do you know who Mia Malkova is?
Yeah.
Mia Malkova, I think, was either married to or was dating a guy for quite a while. And like he seemed like a really chill guy. I think when Lee's met him, he seems like a really cool dude, really chill dude, really awesome guy. And that's cool. And he was cool with her doing her work. I think he helped her and everything, and that was fine. But she got more into the streamer space, upped her clout a little bit, and then eventually they broke up, and then she started dating a very famous streamer guy. And you know what happened the next day? She tweets out that she's no longer doing male-female scenes anymore. She might be gone from porn entirely. And it's probably because that other guy, because he has more status, doesn't want her working in porn anymore, and he's able to make that demand.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess like the counter. I mean, yeah, I do agree that porn can be kind of a unique category. Yeah, I think a lot of guys. I mean, I personally don't think I would care that much as the average guy. But yeah, I do think a lot of guys would care. And they're like, oh, she's been with like 50 guys. Oh my god, that's a hard no for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, I would acknowledge that, but I think also like you see a lot of situations where the girl is still like even outside of porn, with like it's just not really clear how the guy got the girl. Like the guy's just like so much, I don't know, like below the girl, like outside of porn. I'm trying to think of like specific examples of that.
I mean, like if you are the kind of guy that can be ultra charismatic and funny, like you can be like the exception. Like again, I dick ride myself or whatever, but like I think I do, given my size, I think I do a lot better than most people expect me to do. Like people will shit on me online for it even, or say that like there's got to be some other weird shit going on. But I think it's because I've got exceptionally good people skills when it comes to women. But for in general, that's going to be like the exception and not the norm. Like a lot of guys have a lot of difficulty talking to women, are super mega autistic, come off as super mega clingy, like et cetera, et cetera. Like I think that's a pretty common that a lot of guys have trouble in that area. So you can find the exception every now and then, but I think I would say it's the exception and not the rule. But that's how
Yeah, I guess it's kind of anecdotal. I mean, I'm just wondering what kind of even data, how to even conduct this experiment, because it's pretty easy to figure out who will bang who, but it's a lot more complicated to figure out who will date who. Like I'd have to go really far out. Like I'd have to like pretend to be this fat chick on Tinder and be like, so would you be willing to date me? And then like most of the guys would be lying because they're like, oh yeah, sure. They don't really mean that. So I don't even know how like
you should like, it would be, this would actually be an unethical experiment because you kind of be fucking with guys' emotions, but you could like, you should get like an army of like, not an army, get like 5 or 10 fat girls, get them on Tinder, see how many guys they'd fuck, start like casually dating a bunch of guys and see how many guys are willing to commit to like a relationship and see what happens. But that would be kind of unethical, but because eventually like, sorry, I don't want to.
Where am I gonna go for that? To like McDonald's and just like hang out in the corner and recruit fat girls? Be like, hey, what's up, you? You want to participate in this experiment? Okay, I mean, I guess we kind of agree to disagree on that. The one other thing I wanted to ask is not part of the debate, but I was curious. I saw you hung out with Tulsi Gabbard. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not a fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but
you're not. Interesting.
No, yeah, definitely not.
I figured she would be like right up your alley. How come you're not a fan?
For a lot of political reasons. She just is like a very big like I'm a very big establishment shill guy. She's super big. Her whole political like ideology is like anti-establishment. I probably disagree with her on a lot of policies. Like,
oh, okay, that's interesting. I figured that would be right up your alley because I'm a big Tulsi Gabbard fan. So you would not vote for her if she was the Democratic nominee?
If she was, I would probably vote for almost any Democrat over any Republican. But I don't know.
But you would prefer like Joe Biden to her or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I would prefer almost any candidate over her. Yeah.
This is fast. Can you tell me like some specific things you disagree with her on?
Everything she has to say regarding foreign policy, I generally disagree with. She tends to take a very isolationist stance, which I don't think is good. Social policy, I think she might be okay social policy wise. Seems like she's anti Roe v. Wade, just based on a little bit that I saw from her. I'd have to see. I just remember every time she opened her mouth in the Democratic debates, it seemed like she always had like some very big anti-establishment position. We'd probably disagree like on vaccines, I'm sure, if I were to go find her stuff. I haven't seen much of her lately because obviously she's not, ever since the primary, she's not in the news as much, but yeah.
But you don't like that whole idea about like America not being involved in a bunch of wars?
No, I think it's important. I think America is like the world leader in some cases for a reason, and like we kind of set the standard for what world policy should be like. And if we're not going to do it, then we basically we cede that ground to like Russia or China, and we say, well, they can make all the decisions. I'd rather be in charge of that than trusting someone.
Yeah, I mean, I see the point, but were you pro or anti-war in Iraq?
Iraq, probably anti. Iraq, I don't think it was a good moment for the United States.
No, definitely not. What about Afghanistan? Were you pro or anti that?
So I think the charge with Afghanistan was that they were, obviously that the Taliban was functioning out of Afghanistan, and that the Taliban had the resources and training and everything in Afghanistan to figure out like how to do terrorist acts in the United States. I think that was pretty justified. Not the full 15-year occupation, but just like an initial invasion and then trying to fuck with the Taliban there, I think was an okay decision.
Right, and then returning it right back to the Taliban, so you're exactly where you started.
Well, they probably won't fuck with the U.S. as much anymore, I imagine, but who knows?
Well, I think Trump cut a deal with the Taliban that like they can't fuck, like that we will leave them alone as long as they don't touch any American troops or anything like that. So I think that was the deal. That was the initial deal that was made behind closed doors.
Kind of. I think that's kind of what we all want. Like, the Taliban probably doesn't want the United States there fucking their shit up anymore because it's annoying to them, and the United States doesn't want the Taliban doing like fucking terrorist attacks on us. So it's probably in all of our best interests at this point. But yeah.
Yeah. Although I do feel like that deal could have been like cut much earlier and faster and easier with a lot less money, lives spent. Like, would do some initial surgical strikes and then cut a deal with the Taliban that they can't support Al Qaeda anymore. Otherwise, we'll invade. Like, I think that deal could have been like easily cut without the invasion. At least for
sure.
some.
Well, I mean, it was mainly concerning the Taliban, right? But there's...
Well, it was really concerning, I think, Al Qaeda because the Taliban were supporting Al Qaeda.
Wasn't. Maybe I just don't know enough. I don't know. My understanding is that our big issue with Afghanistan is that the Taliban operates out of Afghanistan, and the Taliban was using resources, everything from Afghanistan and partially from Pakistan, to like plan terrorist attacks against the United States. I thought that was the big.
So it was the Al Qaeda. So the Taliban was I could be wrong with this, but the Taliban was the government, the extremely religious government in charge of Afghanistan. They had control of Afghanistan for a period of time. We actually used to help the Taliban when we were fighting against the Soviets. But the problem was that the Taliban were providing a home base for the Al Qaeda, and the Al Qaeda was like actually the terrorist wing. The Al Qaeda was the one that did 9/11, all that shit, right? Taliban was harboring them, but they weren't like they weren't the same thing. There was some, and basically what we wanted was the Taliban to just give up Al Qaeda. We didn't really care that much about the Taliban because they directly weren't doing anything bad. It was Al Qaeda that we didn't want, and Taliban didn't like really want to give them up, or at least not as fast as we would like them to, and that's how the whole thing began. But honestly, Afghanistan would have been kind of inevitable because the U.S. was so pissed off to 9/11. There was so much pressure, like something had to be done. So even the Taliban like fully surrendered Al Qaeda, we probably still would have gone in. At least that's kind of my understanding.
Gotcha. It might have been. It's a long time ago. I'd have to go back and refresh on it, but that might be true.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I was just curious about that. I mean, I think that's basically all I had to discuss. I don't know. Is there anything you want to debate me about?
Not that I can think about. I just finished a big project, so I've just been kind of chilling.
Okay. Yeah, my whole chat is being like, shut the fuck up with politics. They hate it when I get into politics. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I watched a good amount of your debates. I got one thing I was trying to understand is like, I think like people always give me props that I'm patient, but like, how do you like you've debated some like legit crazy motherfuckers, like people who are just like yelling and talking over you like nonstop. Like, are you just like, is your plan like, okay, I'll just be like really chill and just let them embarrass themselves, or like how do you stay so calm when there's like some crazy motherfucker literally calling you names like nonstop?
It depends on the debate. It depends on the person. I think I have like a penchant for being like really calm with people for whatever reason. It's one of the reasons why I was so good at I got promoted really quickly at my casino job because I could deal with like drunk dipshits late at night in ways that other people couldn't. So I've always kind of had like a penchant for that, and I just got lucky that for online debates it seems to come in handy.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that. But all right, man. Yeah, dude. Thank you for coming on. I know we're going to talk about the Lyme. I just didn't have a chance to research it, so I don't have like any articles lately. But I'll look it up sometime this week, and I'll send you some articles. Maybe you can set it up later in the future.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right, cool, dude. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for the chat. Have a good one, man.